High Scrollers is produced on Gadigal land.
We pay our respects to the traditional custodians of this country and elders past and present.
Always was, always will be Aboriginal land.
Welcome to Lizzo IRL, High Scrollers edition. This is Close Friends. Welcome, everyone. Happy Friday. Or I know some people save these.
Do they?
And listen on a Tuesday, which I think is fucking unhinged.
What, like both episodes at once?
Yeah, because then they get a super long High Scrollers.
Nice.
But, I mean, it's good to listen in context. Maybe people don't listen to podcasts on Friday because Friday is like the end of the week.
Yeah.
You know, who cares for anything on a Friday?
So I have no idea because I'm bad. I do not fucking listen to a single podcast.
Neither, honestly.
So it's an honour that people take the time to listen to mine.
Mm-hmm. I'm someone who will listen to an episode of a podcast.
Like if something good's come out.
Yeah. So if someone puts something out and there's like a viral clip of it, you know what I want to listen to actually is that new podcast episode, and I can't remember what podcast it is, but it's the one Mark Jacobs is on. Have you? Not Mark Jacobs. Sorry,
Steve Madden.
Steve Madden.
Yes.
Steve Madden.
For those of you that haven't seen it, Steve Madden has gone on a podcast and it's gone viral on TikTok. There's like the podcast has heaps of clips. I went and watched all of those. See, I'll watch that. Like I'll watch all the clips, but I won't go and listen to it. But basically, Steve Madden, shoe guy, since forever, has gone on this podcast and basically like done the best PR for himself and his business that he could ever do in his whole career. And Steve Madden has been around since like ages ago, like forever ago.
I think, what, 80s or more?
90s? I don't know. Early 2000s? I don't know. Look, we'll have to look it up. But he, in these few candid clips that have been posted to TikTok by the podcast host, she's just asking him, like, did you see the one video where they're going through all the shoes that Steve Madden has duped?
Yes.
But, like, not completely duped, like done their own version of.
Which I didn't realise that was Steve Madden's whole thing. I didn't realise that.
I think he has, like, some of his original styles, obviously, but now they, like, come out with all the trendy shoes as well. And so she shows, like, Chanel flats, for example, and then she shows him his. And he goes, yeah, they're our shoes. They're inspired by the Chanel flats. Like, he just outwardly says it, but he's not like, yeah, we copied them. And then he even, like, commends the other brands, which I found to be really refreshing. Like, there was one shoe and she said, this is Miu Miu or something. And he's like, I didn't know that. Because obviously he's not, like, in there designing the shoes. Like, they have whole teams for it. But he's like, Miu Miu, what a great business.
Yeah.
Like, he's just, like, complimenting these other businesses. And I just feel like it was really clever. But again, this goes into the whole dupe culture as well, Matt, and like men versus women, because why is everyone praising Steve Madden for him just outwardly like saying that his shoes are inspired by other brands, but then everyone hated Shelley from MCO Beauty? Is it because of the way she delivered it?
Yeah, from my understanding, she was not kind about it.
Yeah, she was like, I don't give a shit if I dupe them. But then it's like, do we accept dupe culture if the owner is nice about it?
Well, I do think that.
Or is it because he's a guy?
Beauty, I think the whole thing is like it because this is what we're saying is you are the face of your brand is who you are. And the face of MCO Beauty to me is that Shelley woman who every time she's speaking is unhinged or being rude or not answering a question directly, being shady, not admitting. Because she doesn't actually, to my knowledge, come out and say, she's not even part of the company anymore. I think she's sold out of it now, bought out of it, or whatever terminology that is. But what I'm saying is, from my understanding, she would act like they weren't duping anyone and no, it wasn't a copy. No. Do you know what I mean?
Good.
Whereas Steve Madden...
He's like, yeah, that's inspired by
he's been
Hermes.
truthful. He's been truthful, and I didn't see that truthfulness when I would watch the clips.
So it's all about the delivery.
Yeah, for sure, I reckon. I mean, maybe it's got a deeper issue of men versus women.
I think
does.
I think it does because then I think about myself. And let's say we come out with a new collection at Fate and I said, yeah, so this is inspired by Chanel. Like, let's say we come out with like, you know, Chanel has those like old school, classic, like little, I don't fucking know how to describe it.
Scratchy looking outfits.
Yeah, you know, those little sets and the cutesy pastel.
Clueless vibes.
Yeah, if we come out with a collection like that, and if I just so candidly said on a podcast clip like him, yeah, this is our new collection, and the interviewer goes, here's the original. And I went, yeah, so that's Chanel and that's ours and it's inspired by it. I don't know if I would get the praise that Steve Madden is getting.
We should fake that. And
do a campaign. Do a social experiment.
Do a social experiment and see whether you would get the praise. Same and you just make it up.
We should plan it and do it for April Fool's next year.
Yeah, it's a long way away.
but if I'm actually going to make an item.
Yeah.
And see if I get the praise.
No, but even just the social clip going up and just see how the comments react to you saying you're ripping off Chanel.
But if I say it in a nice way, I say I love Chanel, I'm so inspired by them, and that's why we've come out with this collection that's inspired by Chanel.
Yeah.
I wonder if as a woman I would get the same praise, because I also, like, this topic is so relevant to me, Matt, because just a shameless plug to my other podcast, Big Business. I did an episode recently on being a woman in essentially a man's world, and also just being a woman in like leadership, management, like just any women that are in like leadership positions, and all of the challenges that women face, not being taken as seriously. And so this is just like got me thinking, like talking about Steve Madden. Like I loved his those clips as well, and that's a podcast that I would go and listen to. But I wonder if it was a woman, if it would be any different. Because everyone's like, yeah, Steve, he's for the girls.
I do notice with my female friends a trend of not, for lack of a better term, having the balls to do things in the workplace that I think about, that I think I could do with absolutely no consequence. Like a lot of my friends who are women will say like, or they wish they could have a pay rise, or they wish they could have a new position, or potentially most of the time what the conversations I'm having is they've been hired for one job, they're doing 100 other jobs, but their title and their pay doesn't reflect that.
Yep.
And I say, then say something. Like, why not go in and say, this is what I'm doing, I'd like that to be reflected.
And who are they asking? Are they asking women or men?
Well, that's it. And they go, can't do that. You can't do. In my mind, if I'm doing a job and not getting paid for it, you better pay me my dues. There's no doubt that I would walk into whoever's office and go, I either need to be paid correctly or I'm not doing these jobs.
Yeah. And as a business owner and boss, I would expect my staff to do the same to me. Like if they're doing 10 people's jobs but only got the title of one and getting paid for one, they have every right to come to me and say, hey, here's all the extra work that I'm doing. Can we look at like a title change and a pay change?
But there's a resistance from them. And I'm trying to say, go in there and do it. But I've noticed that they hold back. No, don't know. That wouldn't work. I'm like, you don't know whether you go in and you try. And if it doesn't work, then, you know, it doesn't work. But obviously I have no lived experience as a woman, so I don't know what it's like. But it's just a pattern that I've noticed throughout my friends and family members as well.
Take it from us, gals. You deserve to be able to speak in your workplace. And it's a very interesting topic. Like, even from my perspective, I've dealt with some really challenging times over the years when it comes to staff, and a lot of the time when I've like dealt with situations and it's all like we've resolved it or it's come to an end or whatever, I've had so many moments of reflection afterwards, like thinking about like everything that was said, and, you know, thinking if things like personally have been said towards me or about me. I've often thought, I wonder if I was a guy, if those things would have been said.
Because people go, she's a bitch. She's a bitch.
And so
she's such a bitch. But like, if it was a guy,
would they go, AJ's a bitch? Like, if do you know what I mean? Like,
but AJ is a bitch sometimes.
He's a bit of a bitch. Sorry, AJ. But you know what I mean? Like, I've just been having all these thoughts lately, especially after doing that episode. If you want to go and listen to it, but you know, when you do have like a female manager or whatever, like, it's sadly like ingrained in society that women are bitches. Like if they're in, like, think of your manager at Macca's or whatever.
Yeah.
Like, it's just, yeah, she's such a bitch.
Yeah.
But, like, if that manager was a man, would you go, yeah, he's such a bitch? No, you wouldn't. You'd just be like, that's my manager and he's just doing his job. Or if you got feedback off your manager, if you'd fucked up or something, let's say you sent out the wrong fucking burger to the wrong car or whatever and your manager called you up on it. If it was a female, you'd be like, oh, what a bitch for calling me out. But if it was a guy, let's say it was AJ, they wouldn't go, oh, AJ's such a bitch for telling me that I stuffed up that order. Instead, they just go, yep, okay, because it's a guy. And, like, sadly, I think this is, like, ingrained into society that, like, it's our automatic response without even realizing that, like, we always look at females in power and them being assertive as, like, a negative, bad thing and that they're being a bitch. But when it's men, we never really think that.
That's why I love walking into a room, especially full of men, and saying, hi, girls, how are we? Or hi, dolls. Because, you know, it's like when we say, hey, guys. And I think about that and I think, you know, if you walk into a room full of girls and you say, hey, guys, no one bats an eyelid. But imagine walking into a room full of men
and saying, hey, girls.
And say, hey, girls. Everyone in that room is going to have a problem with it, right? And so I love that. I love shifting that balance and that power, especially when there's more men in the room and you go in and go, hi, girls, how are we going
and
today?
They go, what? And they'll feel a certain way about that.
Yeah.
Another realization that I've had since doing that episode recently, it's so funny that we're just randomly talking about this now because this has literally been on my mind. Another, like, personal realization that I've had, and I actually had it. I went on 2 Broke Chicks last week. And I had a moment of realization when I was talking to them. I've always known that one of the reasons why I'm such a go-getter and, like, just take risks and whatever is because, like, I never had my mum and dad around to tell me, you know, you should do well in school or you should try and go to uni or you should get a job, like, or a career or whatever. Because I was, like, so independent from when I was a teenager. I think that's where my drive has come from, which I'm so thankful for because I could have went the other way and said, no one's ever told me what to do, so I'm going to go into a little hole. But instead, the reason why I'm such a go-getter and why I'm always doing so much and why I believe in myself is because no one ever has, which I've always known that, right? But I realized that because in my job, like, what a lot of people wouldn't know is, like, I actually do deal with a lot of men, even though fate is predominantly female. Like, a lot of our outside relationships are men. Like, the real estate agents for our 9 fucking commercial leases that we have, our bin guys, our truck drivers, like, everyone is basically a man, and we deal with a lot of men in our business. And so I did the whole episode talking about, like, little interactions that I've had with men over the years where they haven't taken me seriously. Like, when I've been going to view a Westfield store and they look at me like, who the fuck are you? Or they've been like, yeah, good luck with that, and made little comments like that. But I made the realization that I don't give a fuck what men say, and I never have, because my dad walked out when I was 14. And I only had that realization last week when I was on the 2 Broke Chicks podcast.
Yeah.
And I was like, holy fuck. Like, I've always known that I've got my drive from my parents not guiding me. But then I also realized, like, I've never cared what men say in my career when real estate agents have gone, oh, so what do? You sell clothes, do ya? I've never cared, whereas I know a lot of other women would really care and take that to heart and get upset by it because my dad walked out of my life when I was 14.
Yeah.
And I just had that, like,
big epiphany.
Yeah. And I'm like, holy shit.
I think therapy would change your life.
Honestly. I think I'm fine.
Honestly. But I think that therapy has...
It can be, like, liberating.
It has, like, a negative connotation that, like, you need to go only if you... It just would help you discover... And learn those sorts of things.
Yeah, because I literally realised it in the middle of the episode. Right. I'm sure it's left, the episode's out now on 2 Broke Chicks.
That only just, you know, empowers you more because now you know more about yourself. Like, I think...
Yeah, but how do you even find a therapist, honestly?
Yeah,
like, do you have to go to
who has the time?
Do you go to your doctor and then they refer you to someone, or can you, like, find a therapist and contact them?
I don't know. I don't do therapy.
You telling me to go to therapy?
Yeah, well,
anyway, it's just a realisation that I had. My dad walking out has been more powerful than I even new because
your dad walking out was the best thing that ever happened to you, love, because like imagine what that has done for you. Like you wouldn't be here today with all that you've built if you had a supportive father. Sorry, you wouldn't.
I had a supportive father, maybe I would have went to uni and I'd be in a completely different career. Maybe I wouldn't be with AJ. Like, is it like the butterfly effect that you keep seeing on TikTok?
Yeah.
Like I would be not doing this podcast with you probably.
Yeah.
I might have never started YouTube.
Yeah. Well, you might not have even had to be working at the makeup shop when we met.
Yeah.
Because you wouldn't have
I would have been going to uni at that point. Or I would have been finishing year 12.
Or just staying at home, living at home with your parents, not even having a job, you know. Like,
that'd be nice.
Who knows? Oh, that would have been nice. You know what? That was so... I think back to high school and the people who like... Their parents were like, no, you're not having a job. We'll support you because we want you to do well in school.
Oh, that would be nice.
What a dream.
But I am extremely thankful that I was like forced to be independent because obviously I owe all of my success to that. But if I could just redo it again now for a little bit, I would fucking stay at home until I'm 30.
Yeah.
But I never had that opportunity.
Yeah.
And I see like some people showing up on my TikTok and they're like creating content about like being in their 30s or like late 20s and moving back home to like save money so they can eventually get their own place. And I know that's like shunned on in society or like you feel like you're taking a step backwards, but I'm all for it. If I had a family, I would love to hang out with them at their home and like live there and have dinner together. It would be nice.
10 years ago it was all right because you could go back home and actually save the money. I actually think moving back home these days, are you even saving that much money because your parents are struggling too, you know what I mean? Like 10 years ago you'd move home because mum and dad have got it all.
They get the groceries.
I could just eat them out of house and home and, you know, sort my life out, get my life back on track and turn it around. Now I'm like, you got to move home and pay $250 a week board, love, just to keep the lights on, you know? So I don't know if moving back in with the parents, I mean obviously to help a little bit, but I don't know if it's all it's cracked up to be like it used to be, you know?
Yeah.
Because it used to be such a dramatic turn. Whereas now these days, I think the parents are probably like, yeah, move in. You can help us pay the bills. You know what I mean? Bloody hell. Well, what a chat. What a chat, love. Anything else to say?
Nah.
We'll see you next Tuesday.